Hi everyone! Today I'm going to talk about why the MCU, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe if you like, is so successful. Now there are many reasons why it's so successful, but the main reason is the fact that Marvel fans like me always watch the MCU movies. And it's people like me who grew up reading the comics and playing the video games, why the MCU has become so successful over the years and why it will sustain its successfulness in years to come. Now, most of the MCU's audience is made up of fans who actually think the comics are better than the films, me being one of them. Now, the rest of the audience is made up of family and friends of those people. So if, like, the hardcore fans stopped being hardcore fans and they stopped watching the MCU movies, then the parents wouldn't be able to tag along with their kids anymore because the kids would stop watching it. So they would, like, the parents wouldn't go on their own, would they? Unless they were hardcore fans as well. Basically, I'm making this video because I feel YouTube channels like Comic Book Cast 2 sometimes forget the core facts. Also, I grew up watching Marvel movies that aren't in the MCU, such as the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies and even the X-Men movies that are made by Fox. So obviously, like the first Marvel Studios MCU film was Iron Man. So, Elizabeth Olsen, she plays the Scarlet Witch. Elizabeth, before you start slagging the comic books off, and before you start slagging the comic book costumes off, just remember, you owe your career to those comic books. You get most of your money because of those comic books. Because the MCU would be a flop if it wasn't for those comic books. Like, all of these heroes would mean nothing if it wasn't for the comic books. Like, if they just pulled these heroes out of thin air, then, well, the MCU would be a flop instantly. Literally, Elizabeth Olsen, before she joins the MCU, she was a nobody actress. Who was she? She was just Mary-Kate and Ashley's sister. Whereas Chris Evans, he was different because he had been in Fantastic Four in the past. I mean, sure, your average moviegoer is going to make up some of the audience for these films, but the average moviegoer isn't going to see, like, every single MCU movie in the cinema. Only hardcore fans would do that. Like, some people just wait until they come out on DVD and Blu-ray. Or some just don't bloody bother watching all of them at all. Just remember, it wasn't Disney that made Marvel great. It was Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And anybody who says otherwise is deluded, alright? Like, stop slagging off the Fox films. They are alright. Stop overreacting. Like, Emma Frost's costume was perfect in X-Men First Class, and Psylocke's costume was perfect in X-Men Apocalypse. So what more do you fucking want? Like, I'll admit that Apocalypse, like, wasn't that badass in X-Men Apocalypse, because obviously in the comics he's really badass. But we're not going too much into that territory because we are talking about the MCU and we are not talking about Fox films anymore. So, basically, congratulations MCU on your first 10 years, and here's to the next 10 years. Like, point I'm trying to get across is these movies aren't as good as you make them out to be. They're average. The MCU movies are average, just like the Fox movies are average. If you want proper hardcore stuff, then you have to go to the comics. I mean, maybe if they suddenly had Scarlet Witch in her gypsy outfit, and they suddenly introduced Black Cat in her costume for the comics, then maybe the movies would suddenly be on the same level as the comics in terms of goodness. But at the moment, that's not the case. I mean, basically, they killed off blonde Valkyrie and replaced her with this Valkyrie. I mean, what the hell is that all about? Like, that was a stupid idea. Like, I'll tell you what it's all about. Equal rights gone crazy. Because you have to have, like, a half-cast actress in the Thor Ragnarok movie, so that you're seen to have equal rights in the industry. I mean, you probably noticed the sarcasm in my voice, because you are actually supposed to cast actresses on their acting abilities, not the same with actors. Like, you don't cast them just because she's black or white. Like, it's stupid. Like, I mean, she isn't perfect at playing Valkyrie, just like Elizabeth Olsen isn't perfect at playing Scarlet Witch. I'll tell you who is perfect in his role. Chris Evans as Captain America. He embodies Captain America. He is Captain America in my eyes. Just like Robert Downey Jr., he embodies Iron Man. He is Iron Man in my eyes. Tom Holland, he embodies Spider-Man. He is Spider-Man in my eyes. Much more than Tobey Maguire was, and much more than Andrew Garfield was. But Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson embodies the role of Black Widow. She is Black Widow in my eyes. We could go on and on and on. Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, etc., etc. Look, even Evangeline Lilly as Wasp was perfect casting. When Elizabeth Olsen was first cast as Scarlet Witch, I thought it was perfect casting, but I don't think that so much anymore. Because, like, either her acting has gone downhill, or her acting wasn't that good to begin with. Maybe it's the writers who are to blame. Who knows?